Welcome to my show. A guest here. Her name is Savannah Frierson. Mrs.
Yes.
Savannah, how are you doing, ma?
I am all right. How about yourself?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. And also, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Mrs. Savannah. Firstly, you
Thank
are an
you for
author.
having me.
All right. Firstly, you are an author. You're also a freelance editor and a Gallup certified strength coach. Can you please, Mrs. Savannah, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Savannah?
So I am an author. I write primarily women's fiction and romance, and I am a freelance editor, and I have experience editing through development edits all the way down to proofreads, and I have worked with big name publishers, and I've also worked with independent authors. I've been doing that for about 20 plus years now. And I am a strengths-based coach. So Gallup has a program called CliftonStrengths, which is a personal assessment that shows where people have their strongest talents, natural talents in, and they've identified 34 talents in 4 domains. And what I do is that I help people identify what those talents are and then how to incorporate using those talents with intention instead of either neglecting them. Well, you're not really neglecting them, but not using them with intentionality so that you can maximize and really live in alignment with what you do well.
And that is very beautiful because a lot of people are on earth and they do not even know what their talent is. They cannot even access it. They are just living life the way they want to and giving an access to a way whereby they can try their best to say, okay, I think this is my talent and this is what I need to strive for is very, very beautiful. And that's why I also like to drive to your book because you wrote a lot of romance novels. So can you please, Mr. Savannah, discuss more on the books you've written and also the ones you featured? And do you also plan to also write more books in the coming future, Mr. Savannah?
Yes, but I do have a question. Is there something specific you want me to answer about my books or just broadly?
Broadly.
Okay. So I write romance and women's fiction because as much as I like to pretend I'm not, I am a soft-hearted human being and I love love. And I wanted to put my voice out there. More importantly, I wanted to show that Black women, especially Black women of size, are people who deserve to have the love that they would like. Basically, they are worthy of being loved and loving other people. And so I really want to platform that. And as well as that, with women's fiction, just getting into the interiority of women, and particularly Black women, particularly Black women in the South, because I am from the Southern United States. And I am from a family of strong women. And so just learning from them, seeing how they move through life, I also wanted to put my voice into the literary world and show it from my perspective, especially for women my age who are millennials and younger, because I think at least what I try to do is show where we have come from, especially in terms of overcoming a lot of obstacles and challenges, but then moving from that to finding a place of joy and not feeling guilty about it. So I want to just show different dimensions of Black womanhood, and that's what I hope I've been able to do with my books. As far as new works, yes, I do have a new work in the works, a new work in the works, and it is a historical fiction that is set during a period in the United States history called um, Bleeding Kansas, which is a string of battles that were happening in the Kansas territory because the Kansas territory was up for being entered into the United States, but they got to choose if they wanted to be a slave state or a free state. And so you had factions from both sides who came into the territory and wanted to set up as big of a population as possible. So when they voted, they could vote to come in either as a free state or as a slave state. But as with those tensions that have been bubbling under the surface for at this point nearly 100 years, these were the first times that there was actual fighting about that. And then this is not even 10 years later, not even about 5 years later, the official start of the Civil War happens. So my story is about a young Black enslaved woman who is not trying to escape. She's not trying, she's living her life as best as she can, keeps her head down, does what she's told. And then by fate, destiny, what have you, she's forced to go into what do you call it, shelter in place from a major winter storm with one of the people who've come into the territory wanting the state to be a free state, so an abolitionist. And they both have to deal with the fact of, what does freedom actually mean, especially for a country where freedom does not really never included someone who is like my primary character. Her name is Deborah. And, looking at understanding that life is not as black and white as it may seem on the surface, but there are all these different nuances that can lead people into decisions that don't look like it makes sense from the outside. And also this, in a way, this is my homage to the enslaved people in the United States who did not run away, who were not necessarily the obvious revolutionaries, but who did their part to continue to survive, so that the current generation of African Americans can be here today. So yeah.
That is the beauty. And that is also the value of community as a whole. As Black
Yes.
Americans, as you said, showing the sense of community and togetherness is what will make every single one of you become more stronger and conquer a lot of challenges that goes by the way. And I also like the book that you're planning to write. It shows a lot of futures regarding those perspectives to make people also understand better and also to make people also enjoy such that type of novel and also things that will also learn one or two things from. But I also like to
Yes.
drive to the point of strength and weakness. We all
Mm-hmm.
on earth have our strengths, we do have our weakness. Sometimes we feel strong, sometimes we feel so weak, and we have to know how to manage those two parts in our life. So many listeners could feel the pressure to fix their weakness because weakness can make us do a lot of things. It can lead us to a lot of issues in life. It can lead us to some kind of reaction we have to do in life. So how do you think focusing on their natural strengths creates more growth than trying to part up what they are not good at, Mrs. Savannah?
I think focusing on strengths is or focusing more on strengths than what you do not do well is beneficial because one, every strength that people have, those each strength that people have in whatever combination can get you to the same destination as somebody else's way of doing things. And I think one of the biggest reasons why we think we have weaknesses, quote unquote, is because we have been told that this is the way to do it. And if that way does not align with how we naturally, perceive things or do things or resonate with things, then it's actually working against us to accomplish the thing that we're trying to accomplish. So finding ways to accomplish something or even just to live through life
Yeah,
in a way that is in alignment with you makes that so much less there's so much less friction doing that than worrying about, okay, I need to build that up. But do you need to build that up? Or rather, should you build this up and then use this skill to get to the same,
yeah.
destination that you're trying to get to the same accomplishment, to get to the same outcome. So that's why for me, whatever you're weak in, it doesn't mean that it can't be done. It just means that you have to do it in the way that most aligns with you.
God bless you. Yes, and that is very beautiful, to be honest with you, Mrs. Savannah, because we do know there are some certain things we want to do in life. They will say, these are how it has been done. But we have to check on ourselves. And that is why self healing is the first place we need to work on. When we can help ourselves and we can discover what we know we are good at, we should try our best to see how we can do it, how we can begin with it, and see the mistake we have, learn from it, and see how we can develop it from there. We do know that because most of the time, if those rules that are out there doesn't work, we feel stuck and we feel discouraged, and we do not want to be on that side. And that is why we need things like this. Thank you so much for the insight, Savannah. And also, I would like to dive to the area of people or listeners discovering and understanding their unique strength. I do know this is your base, this is what you do on the normal ground as a coach in that area. But if a listener has never taken a strength assessment before, what do you think is a simple first step they can take to discover and understand their unique talent, Mrs. Savannah?
Well, one of the easiest ways, or not easiest, but one of the ways that may feel not so difficult to identify a strength is think about what you enjoy doing. Like, just what do you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy reading? Do you enjoy puzzles? Do you enjoy, hiking? Do you enjoy public speaking? Do you enjoy actually working behind the scenes? Do you enjoy meeting people? Do you not enjoy meeting people? Though, think about what you like to do, and then think about what you like to do and how consistently you're able to produce or have high level of success with that. So, for example, you like to read, that probably means you like to learn about things. You probably like to experience new things. You probably like to immerse yourselves in new worlds or even familiar worlds. You like the comfort that those things bring, or the types of books that you read. You want to improve yourself. You like self improvement. You like economics. You like just whatever it is. To me, for example, that means, oh, I like learning because I like to read. Or, if you do crossword puzzles or if you like math, like, oh, I like to find patterns. I like to analyze things. Or if you're a computer programmer and you like doing that, you like learning how to write code and fix code. It's like, oh, I like to be able to troubleshoot. So things like that. What lights you up? And what lights you up and what help in what areas do you find that you consistently do well and it lights you up when you do it? Because there's a difference between doing things well and feeling exhausted by the end of it versus doing things well and you feel like I can do this for another 24 hours straight and not get tired. So think about it that way. Like, what is the thing that lights you up and you could do it forever and ever and ever and not get tired versus the thing that you do well and you just feel completely drained. And so while CliftonStrengths, which is what I'm trained in, has specific language to, give titles to those talents or to those skills or to your way of being, you don't have to use those words. It's basically just a language to express it. But for me, the best way to do it, especially if you're brand new to this concept, is like basically what I said. What do you like to do? And what is the thing that you like to do that you know you can get consistent results? And what is the thing that you like to do that gets consistent results that you can do forever and ever and ever if you wanted to?
Want to do what he or she loves the best, what he or
Yes.
she is not tired with, what he or she sees, and he or she continues to feel the joy, intensity,
Yes.
despite the challenges that is within it. He or she is finding joy in it, and he or she is enjoying it day by day. Those are the beautiful features we have to know when we want to try our best to identify what we love doing. Then we will have those kind of ideas, then we can start to develop it because we do know we love this thing and we can develop it despite the challenges. We will know that we'll get through it because of what we love enjoying doing it. That is the beauty. And also, I also like to dive to the point of people. People might have gotten to a point whereby they are trying their best to develop their talent. They are trying their best to make it more better. They are trying their best to make it one of the best so that they can improve and also grow in their life. But there's something that we call comparison. Even most of the time, parents does it. The parent does it to their children. They compare their children and stuff like that. Comparison is a very big issue, and listeners could often try their best to compare themselves to others. How do you think knowing their strengths also help them embrace individuality instead of competing, Mrs. Savannah?
Well, I want to put an asterisk on competing. One, because that is actually a talent that's identified in Clifton Strengths. Is a talent called competition. But I think the reason why competition can be considered a talent for Clifton Strengths, or actually what they say, is competition helps people gauge where they are and how to get better. So it's like, oh, that's the new benchmark I need to meet. And they want to meet it. And so without people who are competitive, innovation might take more time to happen. And part two of that is my sister is high in competition. I am not. But when we learned that, we both had a light bulb moment of, oh, now I understand that for you, you needed to have an A because that was important to you. But for me, if I got an A minus, I was still good with that because it was an A. And there was frustration on both of our ends when we were kids. Like, why does this matter so much to you? Why doesn't it matter so much to you? And then we saw that and it's like, oh, okay, I understand that now. And the brilliant thing about being able to see other people and even compare that experience, comparison is not inherently negative, is how you internalize that comparison. So what I would suggest people do is like that helps you understand how that person moves through life. And especially nowadays, and especially in my country, we don't operate from a place of positive intent. We always think that somebody's trying to get out, trying to offend us or trying to put us down or what have you. And thinking about strengths and your strengths and being confident in those strengths and realizing that that person over there, they might have a different set of strengths, but that's how they're able to move into the world. And A and B, think about, are they really trying to be mean to me just for me, or is it like, you also just have a little bit more empathy and awareness that, you know in effect everybody is their own main character in their life. And so it's not really realistic or even fair to expect people to treat you in a certain way without there being that same level of grace extended back to them, I guess is the best way to put it. So, all that to say, being confident and sure and secure in your strengths and in what you do well, A, makes you appreciate what other people can do well, especially if it's something you don't do well. Like, for example, there's a talent in Clifton Strengths called Woo, and people with high Woo are really good at meeting brand new people and like making them feel welcome and connecting people to other people. And I do not have high woo at all. It is at the bottom of my 34 list. It's not the last one, but it's pretty close. And I am just like, that is so amazing. I do not have that talent high. It takes me a lot to do that, but to see the ease with which they do it, it's like, one, you go, and two, I don't have to do it. So I can actually work in the domain that I do well at, which is deepening connections with people. So I can have somebody help me, meet other people and vice versa in a way, because I can say, oh, this person, you might want to talk to this woo person because this woo person can get you to another person that I wouldn't be able to get you to. But and it's just like we can all work together. It's all one big um salad in a way. Like each ingredient that you put in the salad makes the salad that much better, hopefully, generally. So there's no there's competition, but it's not about wanting to be better than someone. It's usually the way that at least I interpret it, you want to be better at something that somebody else is doing, or as good as something that somebody else is doing. But if you are working from a place of, we call it, I can't remember the term, but basically from a place of growth and not from a place of What is the term? I'll just say one of the terms that one of my coaches uses is basements and balconies. So when you're operating from a balcony, you are fully integrated in this talent. You know what it is. It just feels good in you. You know how to use it. In fact, you know how to use it so well you don't even think about it anymore. And then a basement is where that talent is basically running you. You don't know. You're just going with the flow with whatever, and that can sometimes come across as counterproductive to what you want to do. So again, going back to competition, if I'm high in competition and I know what that means and I integrate it, then I can say that person is doing so much better than me at this. I would probably say, hey, show me how you're doing that, or can we work together so I can get as well as that? But I'm not like, you're not jealous of that other person. You're just like, that's amazing. I want to do that. How can I do that? Or if you're low in competition like I am, you see somebody doing something and you're like, you go, because that's not for me. And you're good with it. You don't feel like it needs to be for me, like, but it doesn't, because that they're in their there's this term that's frequent that I hear in the coaching world, that's their genius zone. They're working right in the flow state. That's an even better one. They're in their flow state. That's not my flow state. So that trying to do what that person is doing is not going to be helpful to me.
Mm.
And that's the good thing about strengths is strengths or operating from a strengths based perspective is what will fit with me to get me into those flow states versus basically working against the tide, working against the current. I might get to the other side of the river, but I'll be exhausted by the time I get there, and you can't enjoy that. So, um, yeah, it just helps you understand everybody. There's a song by Nikki Kostakoff, Everybody's Got Their Something. That's basically what strength based development and perspective does. Like everybody's got their something, and it's not better or worse than your something.
Thank you so much. And also, just to add, it depends on how we see competition, and that is the beauty. We have to see it in the positive way for ourselves. When we see competition for ourselves and see our challenges and know how we can work on it and make it more better, that is we're competing ourselves with what we are doing. And if we need help in any way, we could see those that are doing great things. We could ask for help and stuff like that because we are working for ourselves. It's not in terms of we trying our best to be in a position whereby we're competing with others or we're trying our best to be more better than one. We're trying our best to
Mhm.
make ourselves better than seeing how we can use the resources we have around us to also make things more better for us.
Yes.
Lastly, I would just have like to ask this question, Mrs. Savannah. For people's strength is very important, and sometimes strength can be overused and become blind spots. How do you think listeners can also learn to balance their strengths so that they can serve them well, Mrs. Savannah?
So that's what that feeds right into what I was talking about balconies, balconies and basements. When you are using a strength and
Mm,
you're not using it with intentionality, it can lead to places and outcomes that you didn't want. So, for example, there's this talent called intellection, and intellection means that you are somebody who requires time to think. You're a deep thinker. You think about things until you get to a solution, et cetera, et cetera. For me, I am high intellection. And when I'm not using that talent with intention, that intellection can turn into spiraling. It can turn into rumination. It can turn into me circling around very dark thoughts and going deeper and deeper and deeper until I am in a place that I did not intend to go, but here we are. And now I have to figure out how I can get myself out. That's an example of a talent running amok. Basically, the talent is going to do what it's supposed to do. The talent is going to do what it's created to do. So intellection is created to think deeply. If I don't pay attention to what I'm thinking deeply about or how I'm thinking deeply about something, then that can get me way off target. Another talent that is in Clifton Strengths. Again, these are just terms for different types of behaviors or ways of thinking or leadership modes, for example. There's another talent called restorative. And restorative is a talent where you easily identify what's wrong and you come up with the solution to fix it. When restorative is not under control, you start to find problems in everything. Even things that don't actually have a problem, restorative is built to find problems. So if everything is going well and that restorative is not in check, you're going to find problems. You're going to either find them or create them to fix them because the talent wants to do its job, which is why if it's like you said, if it's just doing its job and you're not aware of it and it's not fully integrated, it'll run you instead of the other way around. And so it's really important that folks are cognizant about how that talent is showing up for you. And it's not as what is the word? Intensive as it sounds, especially when you get training on how to recognize it, how to integrate it, all of those things. But yeah, the talent will do the talent. And it's neutral.
Yeah.
It's whether or not you are using it with intention, with the goal in mind, versus it's just being done and I'm not and you're not being responsible with it effectively. And so that's the good thing about once you understand, like we talked about earlier, what lights you up, like that's good. But if it's how can you replicate that intentionally in every aspect of your life? That's the goal. Because once you do that, you know that you are able to live in alignment with what you need to do, want to do, how you want to do it all the time. And that eliminates so much friction. And also, it gives you that confidence that no matter what other people do, I know that I'm good. I know I can do what I need to do. And if I don't have the particular skill set, I know how to reach out to other people who do and work with them. So it's really, I really can't find a downside to it. And I'll just say that when I was first coached in it, it really just unlocked a lot of things that I had been feeling about. Yeah, I can do this, but I don't like doing it. I feel tired when I do it, but I do well. And but then it's like, this framework said, but you don't have to do it like that. Or that is not the thing you have to do. There's another thing that you can do because it's really not the specific outcome or the specific task or the specific job that you're wanting. It really is the how you get there is so much more important than I think people are aware of. It's like at least over here, it's like you've worked so hard, you burnt all this money, and you can't enjoy it. It's like, well, why? What was the point? To me, in a way, this is just a good way to figure out how to bring joy into your life in a consistent way, in a way that aligns with you. Because living in alignment is just is transformative. And
Thank
I'm saying that as somebody who is continuously going through that and also wants to help people do that as well. I just think it's a liberating, wondrous, wonderful thing.
Totally agree with every single thing you said. We have to try our best to know how we can use our strength well in the positive way to also improve ourselves and to become more better in life. There is also a question I normally ask during the end of the show, Mrs. Savannah. From our forefathers, from our ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Savannah, what do you think that thing will be, Mr. Savannah?
I think listening. listening, and not just to each other, but there's a rhythm to nature. There's and listening is not just in the ears. I think before there was so many distractions, it was easier to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. Totally agree.
And not only was it easier to listen, it was encouraged to
Mm.
listen. And a lot of the times the thing that we need to listen to is ourselves and our inner knowing that we can't logically understand why we know it, but we know it. And I think we've gotten away from that. We want to rely on other people's expertise when we have it ourselves. Um,
Yeah.
Especially in intra community. Like we tend to want to look at other people for for guidance, but we don't listen to ourselves, or we don't listen to each other in a way that I think um, can serve us in the best way. So that would probably be my answer with that limited amount of time to think about
Exactly.
all the various different things that we could
Exactly.
do that our ancestors used to do. But I think I'm gonna
Exactly.
stick with listening, just listening, and that's what I'm working on as well, just listening. Yeah.
Listening is powerful. To be honest with you, listening is one of the best skills that we think we can have in our time today, because that is what will help us understand better. It also makes us process our personal self and also the experience we have better. And we definitely need it among many of us today. I also want to use this opportunity to thank you for the time and the opportunity of speaking on this various topic on focusing on our strength. Thank you so much, Mrs. Savannah.
Thank you for having me, Timmy. This was a really wonderful conversation.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Mrs. Savannah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.